How do we get the product trio all in that like healthy state of conflict?
I've tried two ways, and I think both of them work. It depends very much upon your leadership style. The first one I think is being having a mediator. Like when you know that things are getting really, really heated, it's very important like for someone to translate, even if they're saying the same words, but translate it for somebody else in the same tone or paraphrasing it for somebody else really helps, especially when things are getting like really out of hand. So we decided like having like a third party mediator, whether it's me or someone else who's not a part of the trio, even though we don't have context, that's not the point of this. The point is to be able to facilitate a good discussion until they don't get used to facilitating it themselves. A new product trio will always, always fight more because they're just not used to each other's working style and they shouldn't be. So having that mediator helped a lot. The second thing I did try to do, like, there's some people who are very, very passionate anyway, and there's just a personality type. So, giving them a framework to be able to talk to each other with, I think is really helpful. Um, the kind of structure that I run with, and I read it somewhere and I can't remember it now, but really helped was talk about here is what I saw. It should be able to be recorded on a CCTV camera. Like you don't embellish, you don't say anything. It's hard facts that a CCTV would kind of record. Then you say, my story around this is, or I hypothesize that ABC is happening. And whatever I disagree with you on, or what I feel that you're doing is, and it could be like yours, if two people are combating each other in something, I feel that you are completely disregarding point A, B, and C. And just talking about it in that context, just I think helps remove the emotion and the passion out of it because you're like going back from a very emotional brain to like you've got an alligator brain and a logical brain. So instead of snapping at each other, you go back to a little bit of a logical thinking because you're forcing a framework on someone. So it dissipates the passion out of it while still keeping the important like meat of the material in mind.
That's such a great framework because I think I definitely err towards wanting to avoid conflict, but I oftentimes feel like I can better get to a better state by being able to rely on something like this. So like, here's what I saw. My story around this is this. What I feel is this. Like it is it's disarming and it helps get to kind of the root of the discontent or the disagreement in a way that is not you stink, I hate you, and or I think you're dumb, and from a much more productive place. A lot of this, like what I've noticed in our conversation, is this a lot of this is very driven by the quote unquote the product trio, driven from the bottom up in all of this, and really empowering people to facilitate these conversations themselves and to really come to decisions themselves and filter those up. So can you share a little bit about your perspective or approach around incorporating bottoms up decision making?
First of all, is everybody should feel that they have the autonomy to make decisions. For bottom up decision making, I use the concept of task relevant maturity very, very deeply. So if someone's new on the team, somebody's 3 months in, will I let them make their own autonomous decisions? Absolutely not. But will I guide them through the process? And, you know, so there's a stage for the first 3 to 6 months on my team that is complete micromanagement. I will be on every call, you will shadow every call, you will learn, you will ask questions. After that, you run every call, whatever, whether it's a user interview or a decision, you run with it, but you run it by me so that I'm sure that you're comfortable. And then when you reach a stage where I'm comfortable and I feel your task relevant maturity is high, then yes, you have the ability to make those decisions. And that is a very important part that I set within the onboarding itself. That no, bottoms up decision making does not start on day one. It'll start when I think you're ready to make it. So that's like one very important thing. This helps me as a leader have more control and have more trust in the decisions that are getting made. So usually I would, if I'm having a product trio, I would always have at least one person whose task relevant maturity is high so that they can help manage the rest of the people with lower task relevant maturity. And the other part is delegation. So I have this framework of importance, urgency, skill. So when I have an opportunity, high importance, high urgency, then only people with high skills should be able to be managing it. So the whole product trio needs to have high task relevant maturity. If it's urgency, low, important, high, I'll probably put one person with a medium or somewhat on a borderline of low and medium task relevant maturity on it so that they can learn. Because even though it's like an important thing, you have time, and time allows for iteration and making mistakes. And then if the importance is low and urgency low, the whole trio can be brand new because there's not a lot of risk in making that mistake. So that helps me really manage decisions. And I think it's really important to set expectation that this is democracy until it's not. So there are certain situations where yes, like there I do have a veto card and I have an absolute like no, this will not happen card. And everybody's really well aware of that I will come in when I really see fit. And if it's a really critical, like for example, if we're doing a raise or something like that, I just cannot afford mistakes. So yes, I will play my co-founder and CPO veto card there, and they're very comfortable with that, and that expectation is there.